Alright, so what we're looking at today is we're looking at the last two sections of this one, which deals with clinical studies, capture, recapture, or what we're going to look more closely to, stuff like drugs and Skittles, all right, and M&Ms, but nobody really likes M&Ms, so all we're going to really talk about is Skittles. So the first thing is, imagine you have a bowl. Imagine a big bowl, like, a Super Bowl that was filled with M&Ms and Skittles. Now, there's going to be more M&Ms in this than Skittles because of the situation that we're developing in this. So imagine there's a lot of M&Ms in this bowl and there's Skittles sprinkled throughout. Now what I'm going to ask you to do is I want you to tell me how many Skittles are in this bowl. Now one way of doing this is to count out every single one individually. But if you think, if you've got like a stadium filled with Skittles and M&Ms, that's going to take you forever and you're not even going to try. You're just going to give up and go, I'm just going to go back to my iPod and everything. And so what you have to do here is that we have to find a way of estimating and try to get close to what we are. And one thing that's great with mathematics is there's certain processes that can be done to help us estimate very large numbers that are almost impossible to count by hand. And we're able to predict, okay, there's about this much of this situation. So we're going to do it with these Skittles and M&Ms in a bowl. Now, the method that we're going to talk about is capture-recapture method, which this doesn't have to deal with, M&Ms and Skittles in a bowl. Whenever you hear about, usually they talk about like fish in a lake or birds in an area, they talk about, it's increasing or decreasing. What they're doing is usually they're doing a capture-recapture method. What capture-recapture method is just like its title. You capture something and then you recapture it. So in this method, what you're going to do is originally you're going to capture a group and you're going to tag every single one that you catch. So this could be putting a mark on it. This could be putting, a little counting tag on it or something. And then you're going to remember how many you caught and tagged. And that's going to be considered your N1, N sub 1. After that, after you release them, you wait a little bit amount of time, or you can stir up the bowl if you're in that type of situation. And what you do then is that you take another sample. So you pull out more. And now from this, the number that you pulled out, that is your N2. So the total number that you pull out of that second pull is your N2. Now from that second pull, what you're going to do is you're going to count how many are tagged. That is your K. And with that, we're going to set up a proportion to estimate the N value, or the total population. And after that proportion, when you solve it for N, you actually get N as an approximation of N1 times N2 all over K. So if you have the N1 and you have the N2, you plug those in and the K, and you can estimate approximately what the population. Now this isn't exact because it's an estimation. So we can say it's about 300, or it's about 2,304,000. It's not going to be exact, but we can get a good estimate of what it is. Now, back to these Skittles and M&Ms. The first pull of Skittles that we pull out and we mark and we tag them, we tagged 100 of them. All right, we put those Skittles back in the book and then we shake it up, shake it up, shake it up, and we shake up the big bowl. And then what we do is we take our second one. And our second pull, we pull out 500 Skittles. And from those 500, we only got about 200 that were originally tagged. Now, our N1 in this case is the 100, our N2 is the 500, and our K is the 20. All right. So now the question is, how many Skittles, approximately how many Skittles are in this bowl? Well, we're going to set it up in our equation. We're going to go 100 times 500 divided by 20. And that gets us approximately 2,500 Skittles. So there's about 2,500 Skittles in this bowl that we have that's filled with M&Ms and Skittles. All right. And again, you can use this with almost anything. You can do this with coins in a jar. And it's just an approximation, so we're getting an estimate of what our N value is. Now, after that, we also are going to be discussing clinical studies. Now, clinical studies is where the drugs come in. Now, clinical studies are used, or clinical trials, whenever we want to test some sort of medication. That's what we usually use. And whenever you hear those side effects, after they do a clinical trial, any type of effects that they have from it, that's what they list off. You could be drowsy, you could have, bloody noses. You could feel dizziness. All these different things are what happens in a clinical trial. So these occur all the time. There's a website you can go to. I think it's clinicaltrials.gov, and it just lists and lists and lists of clinical trials that are either in progress, completed, or in the recruitment stage. And basically what it is, a clinical trial is that it's a way of testing something. And so first you have to find what your protocol is. Then you select people that you want, or you find your guinea pigs, basically. You find the people that you're going to test this on, people that want to be tested, and then you go through everything. You test it out, you get your data, you use statistics to explain the data, you present it, and then you publish your findings. All right. Now, there's certain things inside a clinical study that we have. So, a control and treatment. So, a control group and a treatment group are what's in almost every single clinical study. You're trying to test something, or you're trying to treat a disease. You have a group that's treated, and then you have another group that's not touched. All right. The controlled group is the group that is not touched. So, the controlled group is the group that is just living their life normally without any extra effort. Okay, any extra medication to help them, not the medication that you're trying to test, okay, or whatever it is you're trying to do, or caffeine, or this sleeping pill, or anything. And so that's the control group is just all by itself, and it's being tested by itself. The treatment group is the one that is actually getting what you're testing. So this could be, the diet pill, or the music that you say will make people smarter. I mean, there's many different things that you can use a clinical study for to test things out. And the treatment group is the group that actually gets tested and gets to treated. The control group doesn't get anything. Now, the one thing that's a big problem with these clinical studies and clinical trials that we have to look out for is something called the placebo effect. You've probably heard this. Sugar pill effect is another word for it. It's all in your brain. And basically, what a placebo effect is that the idea is that your mind can control your body, and your mind is extremely powerful. And if I give you something and say, hey, this will cure all your headaches, and you take it, and just by you thinking that it's going to work, it will help you cure your headaches. The pain will be nullified, and you won't feel it anymore. It's still probably going to be there, but you're just not going to feel it. And this is what the placebo effect is. So when you do a clinical study, you've got to look out for people that fall into this category of having a placebo effect. It's not something that people do on purpose. It's just how our brains work. Everybody can fall into this. So there's different things. People have given placebos in clinical trials to try to get rid of these, which could be a simple sugar pill. It could be a vitamin. It could be just a solution that's got absolutely nothing, no nutritional value. It could be basically pure water. And so what we're going to discuss next is the blind and unblind, which deals with these placebo effects. Now, we got 3 different types for our clinical studies that we're going to look at. We've got an unblind, blind, and a double blind. Now, an unblind is one that we should try to avoid at all costs. Basically, it's what it is, okay, this group A is in the control group B is in the treated group, and everybody knows it. The people that are being tested know, they're not getting the pill. The other group knows that they are getting the pill. And this is where the placebo effect can really occur. Okay, we don't really know. Now, and we can't tell if one has occurred or not. Now, the blind study basically puts everybody into 2 groups. You've got group A and you've got group B. All right. And you've got, let's say we've got the doctor distributing the pills to each. Now, people in group A and people in group B both think they are in the treated group. They don't know who is the controlled. They just think, oh, I'm getting this pill and this is supposed to help me. And then they test it. They do not know who is the controlled and who is the treated. The doctor does, who's distributing the pill, and the people that are working in the study know. But the people that are participating in it and taking in the treatment do not know if they are in the controlled or the treated group. Everybody gets a pill, you could think, and half the people are getting a placebo, and everybody else is getting the actual treatment. Okay. Now, a double-blind study, we've got our group A and we've got our group B, okay, and they're getting their pills from, let's say, the doctor, and he's getting his from, let's say, the boss man, all right. Now with this, the boss knows who gets each treatment, but the doctor doesn't even know who has the treatment. So with the doctor not knowing, basically what's happening is that we're kind of furthering ourselves away from having the people know what they are, if they're being the treated group or if they're the controlled. Since we're further away, we have less the chance of some funny business happening with our clinical trial. And it's considered the best is when if you can do a double blind. Now some indications you can never do a double blind study because you just can't do it physically. And so a double blind basically puts a blinder between everybody that's working in it puts a blinder on everybody that's working in it so that nobody knows who's the controlled and who's the treated group. All right. So that's our summary on clinical trials / studies and capture recapture. So how to estimate the end value of a population and how to test out a treatment in a fair and easy way that gets our data the best that we can have. All right.